Hello everyone. I, Kunj Patel, 18BPE063, along with my group members from Pandit Dindayal Energy University, are available here to present on topic ERDMP plan for pump removing and repairing process. This is group 6 and this is an assignment assigned to us by our faculty mentor Ms. Namrata Bis ma'am for our subject city cash distribution. Moving on the next slide includes the name of my group members. On the third slide, we have the outline for the presentation. Initially, we'll discuss on the introduction, following which we'll have classification of emergency. Third, we'll have pre-emergency planning. Fourth, response, procedures and measures. Fifth, resources for controlling emergency. Sixth, emergency recovery procedures. Seventh, roles and responsibilities. Eighth, medical facilities. Ninth, evacuation. And 10th, ERDMP for pump removing and repairing process. Moving further for the introduction of emergencies. We all know emergency is potentially life-threatening situation, usually occurring suddenly and unexpectedly. Attached herewith is the information along with a relevant figure and a flowchart which includes plan, practice, evaluate and adjust. Moving to the next slide, we have the classification of emergencies. Now emergencies are classified on three types. First is level 1, second is level 2, third is level 3. Level 1 and level 2 are on-site emergencies and level 3 is off-site emergencies. Level 1 is manageable within site available resources and they have no significant impact outside the site. Level 2, they are not manageable or contained within the site by available resources and they have the potential to have an impact beyond the site location and their mutual aid partners may be involved. In level 3, there is an emergency within an offsite impact. They are controlled under district admin management. They are catastrophic and likely having the potential to impact on human life, property, environment, etc.
Thank you, Kunj. Myself, Love Patel, roll number 18BPE065. So today I am going to cover the topic pre-emergency planning. So the pre-emergency planning basically consists of 4 different steps. First would be hazard identification. So there can be 3 different types of hazard. First would be man-made, second would be natural calamities, and third would be extraneous. So the man-made hazard can be like heavy leakage, fire, explosion, design deficiency, unsafe acts, and many others. Natural calamities will include flood, earthquake, cyclone, outbreak of disease like corona, excessive rain, or tsunami, and many others. And the third and the last most extraneous, which includes terrorism, sabotage, bomb threat, war, hit by missiles, abduction, food poisoning or water poisoning. So these are the different hazard. So primarily hazard identification is the primary step of the pre-emergency planning. Second would be the risk analysis and risk assessment. After seeing the hazard identification, we should be able to calculate that what are the risk or the what. So due to the risk analysis, we can categorize the emergency as a type 1 emergency, type 2 emergency or type 3 emergency. After the risk analysis and risk assessment, the third portion is cause of disaster. Like due to what so reason this disaster took place. And the third and the last most is the consequences. Like because of this disaster or hazard, what are the things which got affected so that in future we can plan on it, like what should be done to overcome it. Okay, so moving further to the next slide, there are different types of things which we plan or which we prepare at the time of such emergencies. So what are those things? First would be mock drills. So what is mock drill? So the mock drill is a necessary exercise which prepare the employees to act during such emergency. Okay, so the mock drills uh, are necessary to conduct periodically so that the employees get ready and they know what they have to do at the time of emergency. So mock drills should be done in the period of announced, like they should know when we are going to conduct this drill. It should be, some drills needs to be unannounced, so at the time of emergency how they are going to act we can know them properly. And as we know all that in a big industry there are shifts, night shift, day shift, or the intermediate period in which the shift are changing. So the drills should be done in all the three different shifts so that we can know how the employees are going to act. Moreover, if we talk about the mock drills or the industry, basically it consists of warning system, first aid, evacuation procedure, and definitive treatment procedure. So this all should be tested in a mock drill at a particular period, which can be decided by the authorities, so that we can ensure that at the time of the emergency we can do well. Moreover, some drills, if we talk about type 2 emergencies, okay, so type 2 emergencies are like uh, large emergencies, okay, like that cannot be handled by only one unit or the one particular industries. So they may require some outside groups or agencies such as police, fire companies, ambulance service, civil defense organization, and mutual aid groups. So some of the drill also consist should also include these people, so that we can figure out how the people are gonna work. Okay, now moving to the second part, which is the most important, first aid training. Like at the time of the casualty, what we need after the procedure which we do after the evacuating the place and anything is the first aid training. Okay, like what the primary thing we can provide to the ones who are injured. Okay, so each employee should have a basic knowledge of first aid. For the same, industry should have arranged various courses on health, HSE, which is uh, health and safety emergencies. Okay, so basically why they provide this course, so that the employees can learn what are the primary things that we can offer to our fellow employee at the time of the emergencies. So basically this also consists of warning system, first aid, evacuation procedure, and definitive treatment procedure. So these all should also be planned at a periodic time, okay, which can be sometime announced or unannounced. And if we talk about the type 2 emergency again, this will include the outside groups and agencies. So in some drills we must include police, fire companies, and ambulance service, defense, civil defense organization, and mutual aid groups. So now moving further to the next slide. So the next slide is about mutual aid. So what is mutual aid? The combating major emergencies might be beyond the capability of individual unit. So it is essential to have the mutual aid arrangement with the neighboring industries. So there is a written mutual aid arrangement which work out between the two authorities of two different industries, which help in the event of level 2 emergencies by the way of rendering the manpower, medical aid, or the firefighting equipments. Okay, so the reason behind doing this is like single industry might not be capable of competing with the emergencies of level 2. Okay, so basically we are asking for the help. So there is a arrangement, like in the case of such emergencies the fellow industry is going to help us out. Okay, so that was my part. So thank you everyone, and further I am going to hand it over to Krutik. Over to you, Krutik. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Love. My name is Krutik Lapani and my roll number is 18BP062. Today I will be discussing about emergency mitigation measures So starting with location plan. So a site plan including layout of installations indicating boundary walls, entry and exit gates and various facilities should be there so that one can have an idea where to go in case of emergency. Then layout of fire water system. So uh, everyone should know layout of fire water system. So in case of fire, one can approach to nearest fire water system. Now line block diagram. So after knowing where the situation has gone worst, it is good to know what are the area where it can spread. So if we know line block diagram, so we can figure out that. And now after that emergency contact number. So it is must that one should have medical center security and asset managers numbers. Moving to the next slide. So there are some other important emergency mitigation measures like safety management system. So it includes safety policy, safety risk management, safety assurance and safety promotion. Safety policy establishes senior management commitment to continually improve safety, and it defines method and process that are needed to meet safety goals. Moving to the safety risk management, it continues hazard identification that results in risk assessment process in order to determine suitable control mechanics. Now, safety assurance. So, safety assurance evaluates the continued effectiveness of implemented risk control strategies. Moving to the safety promotion, it includes training, communication, and other action to create a safety culture across all levels of the workflow. Now, moving to the next slide, response procedure and measures. They are classified broadly in three ways: zoning and maps, layout diagram, and manpower data. So the entity shall help district disaster management system in finalizing the full drawn map of installations. So in case of emergency, if they already have the idea what the place looks like, so they can work more fast and efficiently. Now layout diagram. So detailed layout and flow diagram for different activities such as product lines, filling system, etc. should be detailed. Now apart from that, the important control word should be also highlighted. Now manpower data. So it is always good to have manpower data based on shift in order to assess the requirement in case of emergency. Now further discussion will be carried out by my friend Sufyan.
Thank you, Krutik. Myself, Mohammad Sufyan Sheikh, roll number 18BP070. The given figure is typically an organogram for control of emergency. There are three levels of emergency that are mentioned here. Level 1, which is shown by dark continuous line. Level 2, which is represented by grey colored continuous line. And the level 3, which is shown by dotted line. So the entity can function based on the risk and level of emergencies. Organizations have to address all services and support system to the point. Support services includes communication, engineering maintenance, medical health and human resources and many more. Also, the role of chief incident controller and site incident controller can be merged. Next slide please. So the roles and responsibilities of CIC and SIC. Chief Incident Controller. His he have to he have overall responsibility to protect personnel, site facilities and the public before, during and after an emergency or the disaster. The CIC have to be present at the main emergency control center for counsel and overall guidance. Site incident controller, he have to be identified by the CIC and will report directly to him. SIC should be nominated by the entity in each shift for after 24 hours. Next slide. The given flow chart shows communication for the notification of emergency. It also describes the three level of emergency as shown in the note. Control centers shall receive information from field either in person or various system available. Then Control room shift in charge actuates ERDMP and informs Site Incident Controller, which is SIC. Site Incident Controller or CIC or Chief Incident Controller actuates ERDMP, and he will have to inform higher authorities as shown in chart. Now further explanation will be given by my friend Kush.
Hello, I am Kush. I am going to talk about infrastructure requirements in ERDMP plan for pump removal and repairing process. So, the emergency control center, during the work, there should be a dedicated compartment containing basic supplies and equipment for emergency and disaster management response. It should also contain a copy of ERDMP plan. Names, addresses, and telephone numbers of all the employees should be included. Maps and diagrams showing buildings, roads, underground fire mains, important hazardous material and process line, drainage trenches, etc. All the informations and data should be collected and included. Now, name, addresses, and telephone numbers of offsite groups and organizations that might have to be contacted should be available in the plan. Now I will talk about basic equipments and facilities. So the basic equipments are first aid boxes, site isolating fences, PPEs, telephone line with STD facility, loud hailers, emergency lighting system, stretchers, transport facilities, firefighting machinery. Okay, so now I will talk about declaration of on-site and off-site emergencies. So the declaration of on-site and off-site emergencies are when an emergency becomes a catastrophic and evacuation beyond the plant premises is considered necessary by chief incident controller. The situation will be handed over to district authority for implementing the off-site emergency plan. An emergency starts as small incident which may become a major incident with passage of time. At the initial stages, it is a small incident. The emergency organization chart shall be put into action by chief incident controller. Now, different type of alarms to declare different type of emergency should be provided. So everyone should be trained with different type of alarms, and so hence they will know what type of emergency has occurred. Alarm should be followed by announcement over public address system, that is through microphones or loudspeakers, and so everyone will get to know what kind of emergency is there. In case of failure of alarm system, communication should be by telephone or walkie-talkies to all the employees, so hence everyone gets protected and everyone is safe. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Krutat Patel and my roll number is 18BPE 060. Now I will be going to discuss about the resources for the controlling the emergency. There are many available emergency control system and the facility. First one is the fire and gas detection system. As we know, there are many detection system which detect that is there any fire occurred or not. If the fire occurred, then we have to protect it. So second one is the fire protection system. There are two, one is the active and second one is the passive. After that, we also require the firefighting system as well as the ambulance facility in that house or in that area. But if that in case of the ambulance is not present, then we have to call the ambulance as soon as possible. We also require the personal protective equipment, we also known as the PPE, first aid kit, as well as the availability of the one nurse 24/7, and doctor is also required. We also require one resource, or we can say the escape route. From that the people can come out from that fired area, and at the end we have to shut the whole system, or we can say emergency shutdown system also required. Next slide please. Now the classification of the fire. Fire can be classified in four ways. First one is the class A, which is the combustible solid, in which fire occur in wood as well as the clothes. Second one is the class B, combustible liquid, in which the fire occur in the oil, etc. In case of uh, type 3, which is class C, combustible gases, in which the fire occur in the gases such as the LPG and CNG. And fourth one is the class D, combustible matter, in which the fire occur in the metallic part. Now the fire alarm system, there are two. One is the electric and in second one is the manual. In case of electric, the frequency distance is around the 3 km, which indicate that the fire alarm here around the radius of the 3 km of that area, and in case of manual it is the 1 km. Next slide please. Now after the fire occur, some of the step we have to take it. First one is we have to call the fire department. Second one is we have to call the police department as well. Third one is we have to also inform the municipal as well as provisional agency, so that they can know they know that their area is very proper, so that they can find the one escape room so that people can come out from that area. We also have to call the hospital as well as doctor. And in case of some area where the direct access of that fired area is not possible, in that case we have to require helicopter and air transport service are also required. Now further discussion will be carried out by my friend Kaushal.
Hello everyone, I am Kausal Dhanani and I am going to talk about medical facilities in evacuation. So medical support is very important in any kind of an emergency. So medical facilities should be ready to use before any kind of operations. So these medical facilities include facilities available at the first aid center, details of trained persons in first aid plant, facilities available at identified hospitals, facilities available at other local hospitals so that the treatments can be given as fast as possible, and antidotes and emergency medicine, details of specialist doctors that are in town and available, and last is the details of hospitals in nearby cities. So if there is any kind of an more kind of situation, then patient can be transferred. Now evacuation. So evacuation is also very important. So planning and training on evacuation techniques are important in preventing injuries. Evacuation of local communities or people near the site may be prudent depending on the situation and downwind dispersion information, etc. Although this action will normally be initiated and handled by the district authorities, the affected installation shall help to implement such evacuation. If evacuation takes place after aid counts are reported, means there will be a need for recounting. So recounting may be necessary. Where it is safe to do so, areas being evacuated should be entirely searched to ensure that everyone has departed safely, so that it can be ensured that everyone are safe and no one is in danger. And portable mobile vehicles for announcement should be available in any kind of an emergency. So this evacuation plan shall also consider many points. So these are: first is basis for recommending on-site or off-site actions, then authorized person for area or site evacuation, mode of communication, training in locating exits from building areas and the site, so that people should be aware of the all the exits and entrance, location of escape equipment, provisions for flashlights or other supplemental lighting, and all the people. And these plans should also consider that which area can function as a safe area, so that people can go to this area in kind of an emergency. And if there is any fire, then moving crosswind from the gas or fume releases. And last is the provision of food and drinking water at assembly point and transfer point.
Thank you, Kausar. My name is Mohammad Ehsam Lakdawala. My roll number is 18BP069. Now we talk about do's and don'ts when fire exists. First, we talk about what we have to do is be alert when fire siren was start and be ready to move out in case of emergencies. If there are irritating smell, then cover your nose with wet clothes. If there are so much fire on outside, then remain inside the house till evacuation team arrives. They will keep you safe from the fire. If
fire moving in wind direction, then rush to safe place opposite to the wind direction. Next slide, please. Now we talk about things we don't have to do when fire occur. First, you don't have to be panic. You just calm your mind and do not go along with wind or in a fire direction. Do not remain outside when fire occur near your house. Go inside your house and keep your door and windows closed. Make sure there is no door and windows are open. At the end, you have to go for safer place. You do not have to resist for moving out to safer place. Thank you.
Thank you, Lakdawala. Myself, Mahesh Adia, 18BP066, and today I am going to cover the topic reporting of the incident. As above mentioned, the incident is divided into three levels: level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 should be maintained by the entity for inspection, and whenever the inspection come, we have to inform them. And level 2 and level 3 shall be reported to the board in the format of specified and placed at schedule 6, including near miss incidents. Now, the above report should be submitted within 48 hours after the incident or any other reason triggering major incident. All near miss accidents and investigate and report are prepared. All incidents and reports are sent to corporate HC department. Investigation report of all major incident shall be submitted to the board. Now, incident, if the incident is major, the following steps should be occur in that case, like fire for more than 15 minutes, if there is any explosion or blowout, if there is any fatal incident, and if the loss is above rupees 10 lakh, cumulative man hours lost more than 500 hours, plant shutdown, outage due to the incident, level 3 incident. So these are the major occurs which we have to report when an incident took place in the investigation. Now, if we're talking about emergency recovery procedures, after the emergency, the following activities need to be carried out, like information to statutory authorities. Incident investigation we have to take. Incident investigation should be take place. Now damage assessment, like how much damage, how many damages or how much damage is caused. Salvage of products, decontamination, cleanup and restoration, detailed report shall be prepared based on the entire experience of the incident, including restorations, limitations and lessons learned. Ambient air monitoring at the site as well as 5 km radius of the installation by State Pollution Control Board to determine the contamination level affecting health. And there is one chart which is showing us the emergency recovery procedures: recovery, response, preparedness, closeout, mitigation. It all comes under disaster management plan. Decision preparation plus organized response is equal to a successful recovery. Now I would like to move forward to Mihir to conclude this project.
Thank you, Mahesh. I am Mihir Panchal. My roll number is 18BP067. So, coming on to the given exercise statement, at a hydrocarbon handling area, a pump had to be removed for repairing purpose. It is decided to burn off the bolts holding the pump, and there is an open drain which is running a meter away from the pump slab. So there is not a very good physical contact with the pump. So we need to identify the hazards involved here. Coming on to the next slide. Yeah. So the hazards involved here are broadly categorized into 4. The first one is fire hazard. Since we are dealing with hydrocarbons, that they are highly inflammable, and due to their highly flammable nature, it can be seen as fire hazard in this process. The second is chemical hazard. The hydrocarbon spillage can damage the surrounding environment, and some of the chemicals that are present in hydrocarbon can also affect the worker working on the site. The third one is human injury.
Inhaling some chemicals while performing the activity can also injure the one who is working. In fact, some of the hydrocarbons can cause serious illness such as seizure, irregular heart rhythm, and damage to kidneys and even damage to liver also. And the fourth one is electric hazard. It is further subcategorized into three: electric shock, electric burns, and arc blasts. Since we are working with pump, electricity is necessary, and we are also dealing with hydrocarbon. So, combustible mixture of hydrocarbon along with electricity may cause fire. So, we need to look after electric hazards also. Now, moving on to the next slide. Yeah. So, what are the measures that are required for risk-free work? There must be effective isolation of working site from active system. The portion in which the maintenance work is to be done is it should be isolated from the whole system. It will greatly reduce the hazard associated with the activity. Draining the hydrocarbon from pipeline is also an essential step here because it will also reduce the intensity of chemical and fire hazards. Before working, one should also make sure to cut the power supply to the pump, and the use of PPE kit along with removal of power supply it will nullify the electric hazard. The worker should also be competent enough to perform the job, and he or she must use PPE kits while working in order to minimize the associated hazards. Also, before issuing any work permit, superiors must do examination of site and operational environments in order to avoid such mishaps. Coming on to the next slide. Yeah. What should we do to avoid such hazards in future? So, the design of plans should be optimal in order to carry out maintenance work in future. Other than that, after completing the task, workplace must be inspected properly. We can check for any leakage, for leakage of hydrocarbon, or is there any loose electric connection in order to avoid any incident. And pigging operations should regularly be done. Pigging operation will minimize the scale formation inside the pipeline, and it will eventually increase the pump life. So we can consider these measures in order to avoid any mishap. Thank you very much.